I don't know how to talk to my wife about her new drinking. The title is a little clickbait. A better summary would probably be something along the lines of I am not sure exactly how to talk to my wife about my complicated feelings about her new alcohol use that are definitely related to my past traumas. I posted a few days ago in one of the off my chest style subreddits, but would appreciate some advice on the situation if anyone has it. I have never drank alcohol before, and have a very negative view/relationship with it. This is abnormal in my culture, where alcohol use is very common. However, I have had a lifetime of bad experiences surrounding alcohol that have shaped this view. When I was in middle school, my younger brother was hit and killed by a drunk driver. He was walking down the sidewalk in broad daylight. This was deeply tragic to me, and it really turned me off of the idea of alcohol. When I was a teenager, the person who committed this act was an older student who I had previously been friends with and had looked up to, and had never seen act in any way like this except for under the influence of alcohol. Finally, I work in the field of cancer research, specifically focusing on stomach and colon cancers. I work with clinical trials for new therapies, specifically in stage 1 trials. These trials are testing the therapies for their safety, and are unlikely to provide therapeutic benefits to the patients. The patients in these trials have advanced diseases and have been unsuccessful with other treatments, and, almost universally, will die from their illness. Alcohol use is a common contributing factor to stomach/colon cancers. Many of my patients are former heavy drinkers, and almost all of them say something along the lines of I wish I had never had touched a drink. It is difficult to watch these patients, many of whom I become very well acquainted with over their treatments, die slowly and painfully, with alcohol being a key contributing factor in their conditions. I have seen therapists for all of these reasons throughout my life. My job even has an in-house counselor who we are required to meet with monthly due to the, quite frankly, very depressing nature of our work. Through this counseling and work, I have learned to accept my culture's use of alcohol as it is, even though it isn't for me. In the past, I was uncomfortable with alcohol/drunk people to the point that I would avoid going to parties or bars, even with friends. It would be impossible to have a social life without being around alcohol though, so I spent a lot of time working in therapy and have gotten to a place where I don't let that stop me from going to social settings. I doubt I will ever be fully relaxed around alcohol, but my general stance is that others are free to make their own choices on the matter, even if it isn't for me, and I can't let that stop me from living my life. My wife knows all of this. We have been friends for as long as I have memories and together for most of our lives. We were actually middle school sweethearts and got married at 18. She supported me through my brother's death when we were both kids, through the assault, and Lord knows I've cried about some of my patients' stories with her. I am very happy with our relationship, and love her very much. We are life partners and neither of us would be where we are today without each other. Up until about 6 months ago, she had never drank alcohol either. She grew up in a very controlling religion where alcohol consumption, while not banned outright, was highly frowned upon. However, we recently moved to a new city, away from her family and the high expectations of their religion, and she has begun to explore things that she missed out on growing up, alcohol included. I know that her drinking is not a problem by any stretch of the imagination. She goes out with her friends a few times a month, and has never become overly drunk. She is very safe with her drinking, and will always call me to come drive her home if she has had drinks, which I am more than happy to oblige. The problem here is 100% with me. In some ways, I'm happy for her. It is great to see her flourish in a new environment, away from the ties that used to have so much control over her. We moved so that she could attend college, something that is also frowned upon in her former religion, and she seems to be very pleased with the first 6 months of our new lives. She is very happy here, and this is one of the first times that I have seen her branch out and make friends outside of her religious group. However, I can't say that I feel comfortable when she is out drinking. I know that is a completely unfair feeling, coming from my own place of deep hurt, and is by no means a fault on her part. I would never tell her not to drink if that is her choice. I don't want to be in any way controlling of her. Even so, I feel deeply uncomfortable with it. I barely know how to articulate the feeling, let alone how to talk to her about it without sounding like a controlling freak. I know that I will have to have a conversation about how I am feeling with her at some point, but I don't want to influence her choices. I'll speak with my counselor to help sort out some of these feelings, but until then any advice would be appreciated. How can I best bring up the subject of my discomfort while also making it clear that I do not want her to change her behavior because of my issues? Thanks to all who read this far. Comment. As far as talking to her, just make sure to start with explaining that this is a problem you have and you are trying to fix. You aren't trying to change her drinking, you're just trying to be less stressed out by it. Have you ever thought about having just one drink, maybe even with her? I wonder if trying it just one time will put some of your fears in perspective. As of now, you've never drank and only heard secondhand about what it is like. Perhaps experiencing it one time in a safe and controlled environment will alleviate some of your fears. Drinking is kind of a lifestyle, particularly when young. That's a huge gap in a relationship. Can you handle that? Do you know the friends? Do you trust them? Where does she do all of her drinking if she's not with you? Bars? Clubs? Someone's house? Next story 2. My girlfriend is still upset I didn't do more to help on her last day of moving. How do we fix this and get back to happy? My girlfriend moved into my house this week, length of relationship 5 years. She did most of it herself, since she moved from a tiny apartment into my house and didn't have much heavy stuff. I said I'd be there on the last day to help with the last couple heavy things. On the way over, I got a text from a friend I hadn't seen in a long time, asking if I still lived in the city. He said they were meeting up downtown, they being him, another friend, and a third friend I hadn't seen in like 20 years. So I'm getting these texts as I move the bed frame down, and then when I get the air conditioner into the hall, I get another text saying they're in town for that night only. I explained this all to her, but then her face dropped when I said they're only in town for tonight. She said she was worried about the move-out process and she seemed upset. But my thought was, after all, she'd done so much herself and I did lift the heavy stuff as promised. I explained and she said she understood, but still didn't look so good. I asked if she was okay and she said no. I offered to stay and talk about it some more, and I explained what a rare opportunity this was, but she just kept repeating she was worried. She asked if things could be put back since she had until Tuesday morning for the final move out, but that was a weird option because almost everything was already in our cars. She said there was just some cleaning left to do and she could use a second pair of eyes, but it looked like she'd already gotten the place almost sparkling. I told her she had nothing to worry about. Finally she said the earlier I left, the earlier I could be back at the house. So I gave her a big hug and went. It was a fantastic reunion with the guys. We made some plans to go camping just like old times. I got home at 10:30 and she was snoozing on the couch, everything was done and taken care of. It seemed like she did great and I told her so. I wanted to talk about my friends, but she cut me off saying she was tired and didn't want to talk about it that night. I asked if she was okay again and she asked if I was just going to keep asking that until she said yes. Then she started to cry and said something about moving is just hard, so I suggested we just get some sleep. She didn't sleep well and things haven't gone good since. We're talking about it, and I try to say nice things like she's doing a great job. She says she doesn't feel great. She also said that my friends were knobs for calling at the last minute. I said there's not much I can do about that. I keep trying to explain how great it is for me that I can reunite with them. Once she asked if her moving in wasn't a great thing also, and I said of course it is. So, she asked, What do we get to do to make it great? I guess I missed a small chance to help her out with the final move stress. She also said it's hard for her to ask for help, but I guess she works on that with her health coach. I don't know what else I can do for her at this point. It was bad timing, but it was what it was. I said that and she agreed. Bad timing, it was what it was. So, we're both stuck. How do we make it better? Comment. You can't make it entirely better. You bailed on a commitment you made in favor of hanging out with some thoughtless people who couldn't be bothered to tell you they'd be in town until the very last minute. That's a pretty shitty thing to do. You could at least have finished moving everything before going out. There's no fixing the fact you made your girlfriend a secondary consideration. You can't undo that choice. The most you can do is stop trying to avoid responsibility and deflect blame, acknowledge you were wrong, apologize without qualification or justification, and promise not to break commitments in the future. Then stick to that promise. It's not exactly a small chance, man. You kinda made her doubt whether she could depend on you on the first day of her moving in. Not only that, but this was supposed to be an exciting day that she probably wanted to spend with you because she cares about you. It was supposed to be a memory for her, I'd wager. Now that memory is of you leaving. I'm not saying this to make you feel bad, I'm just conveying how she may feel. If you want to fix it, apologize. Tell her that you shouldn't have left her alone on such an important day for you both, and you'll be more mindful of moments like these in the future. You sound super self-involved for a man of your age, and I say this as a near-age mate. You made a commitment, and you broke it due to happy fun times of your own, and you keep going on about how great it was and it was what it was.